Hello children, this is Anirudh, Mount Litera Z School Jhansi. Today we are starting the second chapter of 11th class book. The chapter's name is Biological Classification. As we have already discussed about biological classification in the previous chapter, that means the grouping of organisms in different categories on the basis of their similarities and differences. Here we are going to talk about also the importance of biological classification, why classification is very important. Number one, because study becomes very easy just by the biological classification. If we classify individuals in different groups, it becomes very easy to study them separately. Number second, it helps to identify the new organism if any found. Number third, relationship among organisms can very easily be studied if they are grouped into different categories. Number third, evolutionary pattern, how they have been evoluted from very primitive organisms to high order organism, highly developed organisms. So their evolutionary pattern, also the development pattern from the beginning of the life till now, can very easily be studied by biological classification. So this is the importance. Second is classification systems. What classification systems we have developed just to classify organisms or group organisms into different categories. So initially many scientists have developed so many different systems during the time period, at the time from the time of development, from where the classification or biological classification came, from that time till now so many systems have been developed. So number one is artificial system. In this, only one character we compare for the organisms to group them into different categories, such as if plants, we take plants as an example, then in plants there are so many different characteristics of plant, but in artificial system only one character is taken for the comparison, such as its flower. So all the plants will be kept into two categories on the basis of flower: non-flowering plants and flowering plants. So this was artificial system. Only one or maybe two characters were compared just to divide organism or group organism into two categories. Natural selection, natural system, in this what happened, comparison of many characters was done to group individuals into different categories. And phylogenetic classification system, in this evolutionary pattern of the animal was studied and compared. Evolution of the animal was compared just to group the individuals into different categories. Now we have kingdom system of classification also. Initially Carolus Linnaeus gave two kingdom classification, that means the entire world was kept into two categories only. The entire living world was divided into two categories only: Plantae and Animalia. Plantae, only plants were kept; Animalia, only animals were kept. And there was only one single character which was compared at this two kingdom classification, only the cell wall. If cell wall is present, then they will be kept in Plantae. If cell wall is absent, they will be kept in Animalia. Now there were so many other animals also, those who were not related with the Plantae, but they had cell wall still. They were not like Plantae plants, but they had cell wall. So there was a necessity to develop another system. So Haeckel developed three kingdom classification system, and he kept one more group, Protista, along with Plantae and Animalia. So in Protista, Plantae and Animalia were multicellular organisms, and Protista, Haeckel kept only unicellular organisms in Protista. Now, because in Protista also unicellular organism, there are so many different wide category or variety of organisms which are completely different from one another. Again there was necessity to develop one more kingdom system. So R.H. Whittaker developed five kingdom classification system on the basis of phylogenetic system. He divided five kingdoms. Monera. In Monera he kept all the unicellular prokaryotic animals, those who may have cell wall, Mostly they have cell wall and some without cell wall, and they had naked DNA, and no cell organelles were found which are double layered. Monera was autotrophic, heterotrophic, parasitic, and saprotrophic in nutrition. He divided then one more. He gave one more kingdom, Protista, in which he kept all the unicellular eukaryotic. In Monera, he kept unicellular prokaryotic. In Protista, he kept unicellular eukaryotic animals. They were aquatic. They had very good defined DNA enclosed inside nucleus, and they had all the double layered cell organelles also. They were autotrophic, heterotrophic, saprotrophic, and parasitic in nature. The example of Protista is Euglena, the example of Monera is bacteria. He divided then fungi, a different separate category of fungi in which multicellular eukaryotic animals were kept, those who did not have any chlorophyll and they had cell wall made up of chitin. This was the specific characteristic which is found only in fungi. They are mostly saprotrophic, heterotrophic. Plantae, all the multicellular eukaryotic organisms were kept which had cell wall and chlorophyll. This was the specific nature characteristic of Plantae department, and they all were autotrophic because they have chlorophyll, they can make their own food. And in Animalia, just opposite of Plantae, such as multicellular eukaryotic, they had no cell wall, no chlorophyll, and they are heterotrophic, that means dependent on others for their food. So this was complete introduction of biological classification and kingdom system. In the next section, we are going to talk about all these kingdom systems, Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, in an elaborate manner. Thank you very much.